Alright there, class. We're going to learn about the portable router here today. Now this is in conjunction with that other video that is in the assignment. You're going to want to use both of those to learn the ins and outs about the router. Now this is the one that we have in class. We also have another one that goes with the router table, which will be another video. Now this one's made by DeWalt, and there's a few things on this that you'll need to be aware of. You can change the depth of the bit. Okay, you can see the bit in here, and you change the depth by releasing this lever and spinning this ring, and that raises and lowers the bit. Okay, and just like in the other video, this particular bit here has the bearing that guides along the edge of the wood. Okay, now before plugging in the router, you want to make sure you're holding on to it, because if you plug it in and someone's accidentally left it on, okay, what'll happen is it could start up accidentally. Okay, so you want to be holding on to it so that doesn't accidentally start up. This was off. That's good. So what you have is an on-off switch here. Okay, turn it on. Start it. You want to make sure it's off when you put the thing away. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to route a profile on the edge of our board here using this portable router. Okay, what should you do to the material? It needs to be secure. Right. It is okay to hold it here with your hand, so long as you're able to hold it securely. If you're not able to keep your hands a safe distance away, it's a good idea to clamp this down one way or the other. So what I'm going to do is clamp it here down to the table with this clamp here. Okay. Okay, so I've got my material clamped down here to the table, and I'm able to router this. Just check my sheet, make sure I'm covering all the points. Now, when you're using the router, it's very important that the base, that's this part here, is kept down against the material, held flat and firm against there. You can't go freehand cutting with the router, otherwise what will happen is you'll lose control of it. The bit spins around. If you're looking down at it from the top, it spins clockwise. Okay, so when you're using the portable router, it's very important to keep your fingers away from that bit. You don't want to have your fingers in there. You don't want to have it into any spots where you might make contact with the bit. All right, you need to maintain constant control by holding on to it at all times. You can't let go of it, and you should be able to have clear space under your feet so that you can move as you move the router. Okay, let's see here. When it comes to moving the router, you should always have the material on the left side of your router, because the bit is spinning this way and you want it to be cutting into the wood. Okay, so it needs to be cutting. You need to be feeding against the direction of rotation of that bit. So what's going to happen, you'll see it from the other video, is this bearing that's on the bottom here. All right, my thing wants to track funny. There's a bearing here that rides against the edge of the wood. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in here a bit closer if I can. Can't seem to zoom in. I want to have that bit. The bearing that's here is going to ride against the wood, and as I push the bit router along, it's going to carve that profile on it. All right, so here we go. So as you can see here, maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's a round over that's happened. I've rounded over this edge of this board. Nice and round and even, just quickly by using this round over bit that's in the router. Okay. Now, when I'm done with this router, what do I do with it? Well, I can just set it down on the table and walk away, but that's not okay. What you have to do is clean it up the way you found it. Alright? You have to make sure that you unplug it, and that before you unplug it, that it's in the off position. You don't want to have it so that the next person that shows up plugs it in and it turns on. Okay? I'm going to also show you how to change the bit on here. Alright, so you can watch carefully here. I'll try and show you. Filming this on my own. To change the bit, you have to loosen this lever. There's these little tabs on each side of the ring. You push those down and you can slide the base right off. That exposes the bit and the collet. Okay, this thing here that holds the bit in is called the collet. Alright, it's not the collar, it's not the anything else, it's the collet. There's a button here on the side. You push that down and that locks the arbor, locks this in so it can't spin. You take your a wrench and you loosen off the collet. Usually takes a couple of spins. Once you loosen it off, you're able to slide the bit out. And I'm going to try a different bit here today. This one, an Ogie. I'm going to slide that into there, bring it back just a whisker, tighten up the collet, tightening it up, snug it up with the wrench, and then I'm ready to slide the base back on. I can adjust my depth then to get the depth just where I want it, lock it in place again, and I am ready to route my edge. I'm going to plug it in, route my profile, and here we go. Okay, let's see what that looked like. It's kind of snazzy. Okay, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff with the router. Just like it shows on that other video. We can do all that stuff here in the shop too. My next video will be about the second portion of that video that we watched. That was not my video, you know what I mean. And it is about the router table. Kind of the same type of machine. It's a bit bigger. This is a handheld portable router. The one we'll use in the router table is a larger, more powerful router that's mounted on the table. Those are two ways of using a router. So use those to answer the questions, and let's get woodworking.